Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Legal Talk. I am your host, John Mitchell, and we are very privileged to have with us today Ms. Robin Grain, who is a divorce mediator spectacular. So, Robin, thanks for being with us on Legal Talk today.
My pleasure. It's so nice to be back. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, so I have a couple of questions here that just really important questions that people want to know out there. So let's say you've got a business, and the business, obviously, most businesses have some level of debt associated with the business. You borrow to expand or whatever the case may be. So if there's
Mhm.
business debt, how is that handled in the context of a divorce?
Oh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one, John.
Yeah.
Well, when you're going through a divorce and you own a business, oftentimes there's two factors that you're looking at. You're looking at what is the business worth, and you're looking at what is the income of the business owning spouse. So this question about business debt more goes to what is the business worth. So when you're looking at the value of the business, the debt will be factored for in the value of the business, just like if you're looking at the net worth statement of a human being, what the debt that they have decreases the value of the business. I mean, it's a little more complicated with the business, but pretty much if you got the bunch of debt, that's going to make the business worth less. Usually the business owner takes the debt with them. However, in some small businesses, it's all mixed up together, and it's very hard to tell where the business starts and where the personal stops, and vice versa. So that is generally how the debt is typically handled. It is handled as part of the valuation process, and the debt usually stays with the spouse that keeps the business. How's that?
Well, yeah, that's great. That's great information. And that, brings me to another point, very important. How is it possible? Can a spouse be held responsible for business related debts that were maybe incurred by the other spouse?
Oh, John, that reminds me of my second marriage
Oh, my
where
goodness.
I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And my spouse owned a business. He was a good guy. I just wasn't sure, literally. I'm a lawyer. I wanted to know what was going on. And I went to three different types of attorneys to see if, in fact, I would be protected in case he was doing something goofy. And I was told that I was in the best state in the country for business owners to sort of commingle their personal and their business financial lives. So it kind of depends on the state that you are in as to, to answer that question. Uh, if the debt is clearly in the name of the business and or if the debt is clearly in the name of the other spouse, then no. The spouse whose name is not on the debt would not be responsible for that debt. But in divorce court, just because you're not liable on a debt, just because your name is not associated with a debt, does not necessarily mean that a judge is not going to make you pay that debt one way or the other. So that is something to be aware of. I know that sounds strange, but that's how it works. Judges can't always order that you pay for this, that, and the other thing, but they can make your life difficult in other ways. So you might as well be paying that. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it sure does make sense. And in fact, this reminds me, I had a couple of years ago a case where I had a client that had married some guy, unfortunately, a kind of sketchy guy, and he had convinced her to put not only the business in her name, but also sign off on
Oh,
the bank and sign off on all the debt and everything.
oh,
And the guy just basically ran the business into the ground, sucked all the cash out of
oh.
it, and then disappeared into the wind. So,
Oh,
word to the wise, to everybody out there, just, kind of be careful and,
yeah,
make
don't get
sure.
married if you own a business, I think that's probably.
Yeah, that might be the solution, right?
It's
So,
very
and then,
complicated.
oh my
I'm
goodness.
not a huge fan of prenups in most situations, but if you own a business, you might want that.
Well, look,
Both of
that
you might want it for
that
both of your
reminds me
protection.
of the next question that we have for you, which is what kind
Hmm.
of strategies can you use to mitigate the impact of business debt on personal finances? And so, prenup might fall in that category. And what
Prenup.
else?
And then if you're already married and you didn't get a prenup, there's something called a postnup. But I got to tell you, they're so fraught with litigation, the threat of litigation. I don't even do in my mediation firm. I won't do postnups anymore. They're sort of a nightmare, uh, but that's something that you can do. You can also drop the corporate papers. I would be meeting with my business attorney and having a meeting with the business attorney and the divorce attorney. That is what I would do. Everybody's got to be on the same page. As I tell my business clients, my divorce clients, if one of them or both of them own a business, I say my documentation, in other words, my settlement agreement for your divorce must follow your corporate paperwork. So if you're going to do X, Y, Z with the corporation as a result of the divorce, I want to see the corporate paperwork first. And that I think is very important for people to understand. The settlement agreement will not necessarily rule your company. So sometimes it needs to be a team effort. And sometimes, John, if people have a whole lot of big trouble with the IRS, we've got to call in people like you too, tax attorneys. But usually we
Yeah,
can get
yeah,
it done
yeah.
with no extra people.
Well, that is definitely true, and I've seen my fair share, and we'll someday tell some more stories about that. But in any event, we do appreciate you being with us today, Robin, here on Legal Talk. I know I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else out there appreciates it. So let me ask you this one final thing: how can people get in touch with you if they want to, get into mediation? Because when I was in law school, they taught me that a bad settlement is better than a good lawsuit any day of the week. So
Yeah,
let's say they
yeah,
want to get in and get some
yeah,
mediation and handle things the best way possible.
right.
How would they do that to get in touch with you?
I only mediate in Virginia, but anybody can call me and I'll be happy to steer you in the right direction. I even sit with people and we look at other mediators online in your state. We figure it out. So you can call me 571-220-1998, or just go on my website, Grain Mediation. That's Grain with an E, mediation.com. And you can send me a contact form with your questions, or you can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation. Super easy. I'm always happy to help.
Great. Well, like I said, I'm sure everybody out there really appreciates it, as do I. And so there you have it, folks. Straight from the mouth of the expert. So we really appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks very much for being with us, and tune in next time. We're gonna have some more great information right here on Legal Talk. I am John Mitchell, your host, and we will be back next time.